Dreams are nothing more than wishes, and a wish is just a dream.
Okay, today I am going to talk about my disability. I don't like to call it a disability because that's not the way I see it, but that's the way most people see it, and that's what I'm going to call it for today. I don't like to talk about it. I find it's very uncomfortable to talk about it, and for the most part, most people don't even know I have it, so why even bother talking about it? But I'm going to force myself to talk about it because the people that do know I have it are always asking me questions, and then whenever other people figure out that I have a disability, then they're wanting to always ask me questions. So I'm just going to make a video about it and try to answer the most asked questions. My disability, if you want to call it that, is that I am hearing impaired. I am missing about 80% of my hearing. Most people don't know this because I hide it really well. In 2010, in the spring, I had an accident and I fell down some stairs and hit my head on a storm door. A few months later, I was out walking and the dogs moved off to the side of the road. I didn't understand why until I turned around and there was a big pickup truck sitting right behind me. And the guy had almost hit me and he was really shaken up about it. And it was one of those really big, loud Dodge Ram pickups that I used to could literally hear coming from a mile away. So a couple of days later, after I kind of calmed down about it, I told my mom, and then she freaked out. And she took me to a hearing doctor, and he tested my hearing. And the test showed at that time that I was missing about 50% of my hearing. And that really concerned him. So he scheduled for me to go to a hearing specialist 2 months later. So 2 months later, my mom takes me to this hearing specialist and he does the hearing test again, and it showed I was missing 80% of my hearing. So in 2 months, I had lost quite a lot of my hearing. I mean, from 50 to 80. 50 is bad enough, but then going from that to 80. So what caused my hearing loss? Was it the fall down the stairs? We don't really know. The doctors have diagnosed it as SHL, which stands for sudden hearing loss. Yeah, it's not very pretty or eloquent. Bronchitis sounds prettier than SHL. But you know, that's another rabbit trail for another time. Anyway, they don't know what caused my hearing loss. From what they can tell, there's nothing wrong with my inner ear. From what they have been able to test, there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with my cochlea or anything. So they're guessing it's inside my brain. And doctors don't know enough about the brain to be able to tell what happened exactly. And whenever they told me this, I of course went home and did my research, you know, and I found out that actually a large percentage of deaf and blind people, the doctors don't know what causes them to be deaf or blind. They just don't know enough about the brain. How is my hearing and how am I coping with it? I get those questions a lot. How is my hearing? I usually just respond to that I hear some things and a lot of nothing. So yeah, as far as I know, there's no real change. I haven't been to a doctor in several years because I am pretty much terrified of doctors. I don't like doctors. So I don't really know if there's been an improvement or if there's been some more loss or what. So I just tell people that I hear some things and a lot of nothing. How am I coping with it? The doctors I saw said that I was coping really well. I I don't know if I am or not. I just deal with it. It's nothing, there's nothing I can do about it, nothing I can do to fix it, so I just deal with it. My family helps me cope with it a lot. My siblings let me know if I start talking funny, because whenever you start losing your hearing, you really do, it messes up your speech patterns, and you start talking funny. So my siblings help me, they're kind of my speech therapists, and they let me know if I start saying weird stuff and stuff like that. And they help me practice with my speaking and all that good stuff most of the time. The rest of the time they just laugh at me. So, can I read lips and can I do American Sign Language? Yes, and sort of. I can read lips. I wouldn't call myself a professional lip reader or anything, but I can read lips, and pretty well. I can like sit in a public spot and watch someone talking to someone else, because whenever you read lips, you can only read one side of the conversation. You can only read one pair of lips. So I don't get the whole conversation. But I can actually sit in a public spot and read someone's lips and know exactly what they're saying and stuff. So I don't do that all the time because that's weird. But I do it sometimes because it's fun. Anyway, can I do sign language? Sort of. I know sign language, but I don't get to practice it very often because my siblings and my family, they don't really know it, and it's really hard to practice when nobody knows what you're saying to them. So it's just easier to work on my speech and forget the sign language. I really want to get better at sign language, but until I can connect with somebody who actually knows sign language and can help me practice, it's just going to be, yeah, like this. So, do I have hearing aids? No. I can have hearing aids. I probably should have hearing aids, and I probably will get hearing aids sometime in the future. But to get hearing aids, I have to go to a hearing specialist. And a hearing specialist is a doctor, and doctors and I don't mix well together. I am pretty much terrified of doctors. So I am pretty sure my mom is planning to hog tie me and drag me kicking and screaming to a hearing specialist at some point so that I can get hearing aids, and she's hollering downstairs absolutely. But we'll see about that. She's still yelling at me. Anyway, I have friends who are hard of hearing that have gotten hearing aids, and they say that they have changed their lives for the better, and I believe them, but I'm skeptical for myself, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there who understand that whenever it comes to you, it's a totally different story. So we'll see when we get to that bridge. We may either cross it or burn it down. So, what is it like to be hard of hearing? Okay, so if you stick your fingers in your ears and you go la 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 la, you can still hear yourself talking. And you can go ahead and do that real quick. You can pause the video and just try that real quick. Whenever I stick my fingers in my ears and I do that and I make noises, I can't hear myself. It's complete silence. I hear nothing. And it's like that all around me. I cannot hear some of the simplest things that most of you hearing people take for granted. I can't hear running water. I generally can't hear people talking unless they're right in front of me. I can't hear leaves rustling. I can't hear the dog scratching himself. So, you know, it's just, I hear pretty much mostly nothing. What are some of the challenges I face as a hard of hearing person? Some of the challenges, there's a lot of them. Okay. 1, phone conversations. I really try to keep up with my friends on the phone, and a majority of business stuff really should be done over the phone and stuff, but that is very hard for me. I try really hard to talk on the phone to people and try to keep up with my friends on the phone, but I have to turn my phone volume all the way up, and I might as well just put it on speaker because everybody can hear the phone conversation. So I've tried to do Bluetooth devices, and some of those have worked, but usually they don't last very long. Maybe I should get a more expensive one or something. But anyway, loud noises are pretty much terrifying most of the time. I live in pretty much a world of silence, and then there'll be this BAM! Really loud noise. And the trouble is I can't tell where it came from. I have my hearing, I've lost my sense of direction as far as hearing. I can't tell if it's behind me, in front of me, where it is. I can't tell how far away it was. I can't tell what it was. Was it someone just dropping something really heavy, or was it like a gunshot, you know? So that's problematic. Shopping is kind of nerve-wracking, especially if I'm with somebody. If I'm shopping with somebody and they turn down an aisle without telling me where they're going or something, to me, they pretty much just disappear. I can't hear where they're at or anything, and I didn't see where they went. And there's like an initial 3 seconds of panic that, oh my goodness, I'm alone and I can't hear what's going on around me. So it's only 3 seconds of panic, but it is 3 seconds of panic, and that's kind of problematic. But it's only 3 seconds of panic, so I get over it, you know? And then I just go find the person and everything. But it makes shopping kind of stressful, and that's not fun. Okay. Parties are not fun anymore. I am an extrovert, and I used to love going to parties and hanging out with large groups of people and stuff. I don't enjoy that anymore because whenever you get in a group of 3 or more people and then you add music to that, everything just turns into one loud glob of noise. There's no discernible sounds, there's no voices, it's just this huge glob of irritating noise. So that makes parties very unfun, unfortunately. One of the other challenges I face as a hard of hearing person is whenever people are told that I'm hard of hearing, most people start acting really weird. They either get nervous, like, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do with this invalid, this freak of nature, or something like that. They just start getting really nervous and they don't know how to handle it, or they look at me like, oh, come on, you're not really, because we've been having like this whole conversation. And it's like, yeah, you've been having the conversation. I've just been smiling and nodding. And yes, I do look young. I am only in my mid-20s, and yes, I am hard of hearing. So, you know, I don't tell most people that I'm hard of hearing because they start acting weird. Basically, being hard of hearing is turning me into an introvert. I don't really like that, but I can't really help it either. It's just a lot easier to stay at home where everything is pretty much quiet and I know what to expect from people, and yeah. So what are the pros of hearing loss? There are actually some benefits to losing your hearing. for one, pretty much no matter where I'm at, I can think or work in complete silence. Most noises anymore do not bother me. That's pretty nice. So I can like sit down anywhere and write in my notebook, read a book without interruptions, or I can sit in the depths of my imagination and just go on all these grand adventures and nobody in Walmart will bug me. I can also ignore the obnoxious very easily. Obnoxious music, obnoxious people, obnoxious things, anything obnoxious. Anything that I find in the least bit obnoxious, I can ignore it pretty well because I don't have to listen to it. Now, if I have to look at it, that's another story for another time. But as far as hearing wise, I can pretty much ignore everything and just dwell in happiness in complete silence. So that is the pros of hearing loss. How to be a hero to the hard of hearing. If you want to become pretty much the best friend of someone who has hearing loss, here's some tips for you. Make eye contact and speak clearly. Whenever you make eye contact, it's easier for us to read your lips and we can better understand what you're saying and trying to communicate with us. And hold eye contact so that we don't feel like we're making you nervous, and it makes it easier for us to read your lips. Don't yell at us. We don't like it when people yell at us. We don't like it that people feel like they have to yell at us. Just speak clearly and hold our eye contact, and that usually is enough. Even for someone who has a significant amount of hearing loss like I do, just speaking clearly and looking at me is usually enough. One-on-one conversations all the time. Even if we go to a party, try to help us establish one-on-one conversations with people. It just makes it that much easier. Don't disappear on us. You know, I mentioned the shopping thing. Don't just all of a sudden up and, oh, I'm gonna go somewhere and then disappear. Make sure you tell us, make sure you communicate effectively to us where you are going, because as soon as you walk down to the next aisle or move off to the next table at the party or something, we panic because you're gone and we have no idea what to do. And yes, it's only a moment of panic, but it's still really nerve-wracking and it takes the fun out of everything. So don't disappear. Communicate to us effectively where you are going and what you are doing. Phone conversations, keep them short. I love long phone conversations. I used to talk for hours to my friends on the phone. But with my hearing loss, long phone conversations, I just get lost in them eventually, and then I start zoning out, and then I just start pretending that I am understanding what my friends are saying. Short phone conversations are easier because I don't get as tired listening to them. Whenever we have hearing loss, it really takes it out of us because we're really putting forth our best effort and we're putting all of our energy into hearing you guys. So keeping the phone conversations short don't wear us out. Long phone conversations totally wear us out, and eventually we get where we just can't hear you at all because we've used all of our energy trying to hear you at the beginning. So it's nothing personal if we want short phone conversations. It's just we want to have the most quality time with you possible. So try to keep the phone conversations as short as possible. And that makes us so much happier. Okay, so that is my video about my hearing loss and answering some of the questions and giving you guys some tips. So I hope you found this enlightening. And thank you very much for watching.
Are nothing more than wishes, and a wish is just a dream you wish to come true.